Yes, it will be very helpful.
Yeah. Okay. So this is how we get chords. Let me just quickly go through it again. So we have a chord formed from the first degree of the C major scale, from the second degree, from the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh. And the chords that is formed on the first, fourth, and fifth are major chords. The chords formed on the sixth degree is a minor chord, six, two,
Okay.
and three. So D minor, E minor, A minor. And the chord formed on the seventh degree is a diminished chord. So that's exactly what I've written out over here. If you see, okay,
Okay.
you can see 1, 4, and 5. These are major chords. What is formed on 6 is a minor. What is formed on 2 is a minor. And what is formed on 3 also is a minor chord. Okay, fine.
I know.
Yeah. Now, this chord is not really used much. That is a diminished chord. It's a little spooky kind of a sound. It's used a lot in thriller and horror films and things like that. But what we do is we use it in combination with another note of the scale, and that is the G note. So most of the time, like you'll find a G note added in the bass, and this chord forms the G seventh chord. Okay, see this by itself
Okay.
is a diminished chord. This by itself is a diminished chord, but when we add the G note in the bass,
Okay.
it becomes a G seventh chord, which is also known as a G dominant seventh. Now, like the dominant seventh
Okay.
is not like a major seventh. Like if you play from C and you make a seventh, it is not a dominant seventh. It's a different type of a chord. Similarly, this is not a dominant seventh. It's a major seventh. So chord formed from C. If you take four notes and create a chord, it becomes a C major seventh. You get F major seventh. But from G, if you play, it becomes a G dominant seventh. Okay. So there's a difference between major seventh and dominant
Okay.
seventh. Now, why that is, you'll understand once you understand concept of intervals. Intervals. If you're making a note of it, yes, you can write it down. So
Okay.
when you're forming
Yeah,
chords
I'll just start.
with extensions. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. The main reason I was explaining this was not mainly because of the dominant seventh, but just for you to know how we get all the chords in the C scale. Now let's move on to another scale. Now let's look at the D scale. Okay, so I'm focusing on this part right now. So we have the scale here. This is the scale. This is how you played the scale.
Okay.
D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D, right? And the same concept applies here as well. The chords that you get in that particular scale will be D major, E minor, F sharp minor, G major, A major, B minor, and C sharp diminished. Okay, so you see it is following the same pattern. Your 1, 4, and 5 are major chords.
4 and
Yeah,
5.
and your 6,
Okay.
2, and 3 are minor chords. So these are your minor chords. Noticed? If you look at the previous one, let me just move to the previous one there. That's the previous one. Okay. Let me do one thing. I want you to observe only your.
Hmm.
I want you to observe only your 1, 4, and 5. Can you see 1, 4, 5? They're major. If I move to the key of D again, 1, 4, 5 are
Yes.
major.
Yes.
I move to the key of E again, 1, 4, 5 are major.
Yes.
Again in the key of F. In the key of F, we have a B
Yes.
flat note. Therefore, we have a B flat major chord in the key of F. That's how it works. Key of G, in the key of A, and in the key of B.
Yes. One. A.
Now there's a mistake here. This in the key of B. There's a mistake, and the mistake is that we have F sharp note
So
here.
F sharp.
Yeah, so that's a mistake. Okay, there should
Yes.
have been an F sharp here, so it's a printing mistake. A little negligence on my part, but anyway. I'm going to rectify that very soon. Okay. So coming back to uh, the C major scale. Okay. Now what happens is there are two aspects to this. The first aspect is um, how we create the chords. Okay. Um, how we create the chords. Like what I showed you over here is how the chords are created. Like, wait, why is this not getting selected? Okay. Yeah. So this showed you how the chords are created.
Right.
What I didn't explain to you is why this is called a minor. Why is this a major and why is this called a minor? Do you know the reason? Do you know the difference?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I don't know the reason.
Okay. So now let's kind of understand why.
No, I do not know the reason.
Yeah. So now let's
The
understand. Now let's understand why major and why minor. Okay. Let's see what is the difference, main difference between a major and minor. Now, most of the time, now when you see these notes, it's a C
yeah.
major scale, right? That is because what you're doing is you are not looking at
Yes.
you're not looking so much at the white at the black keys as of now. Okay, so now it's very difficult to
Yeah.
identify as your C. Now just I remember I kind of remember the sound, so I'll know. Okay, that's my C by the sound. Okay,
Hmm.
but now if I have to move this thing the other way around, I mean it's going to get a little more difficult to play. Now see, I need to uh, skip a note in order to play the D note. I need to skip a note. Then I don't need to skip. Then I need to skip certain notes, right? Did you realize? I mean,
Yeah.
just because I have this block, that means these notes, the black keys are equally important. They also come in the way. So now this is called a step. Okay. Actually, let me not use the word step because sometimes that can be
Okay.
confusing, especially when you're doing sight reading. It's called a semitone. Okay, it's called a semitone.
Okay.
Sorry, okay, the semitone. Okay, so from C, the black key. Right now, I'm not concerned about the name of the black key. Semitone. From here to here again is a semitone.
Okay.
From here to here is a semitone. From here to here is a semitone. From here to here also is a semitone. Although there is no black key, because every step forward is a semitone. We don't use the word forward because right now we're playing keyboard. It's easy to understand as forward and backward. But the word that is used is raised. Okay, a note that is raised. So I'm raising it. I'm raising. Or I could be lowering.
Okay.
So in other words, I'm moving in semitones. Okay, you got that? You got that concept?
Okay.
Yeah. So
Yes.
now if we look at the notes of the C major scale, it's let the C major chord. Let me not say scale. Let's look at the C major chord itself. How many notes are there from the C note, or how many semitones are there from the C? So if you count, okay, so this is one. That's the first semitone.
One.
Three, and four. So altogether, there are four semitones from C to E.
Okay. Yeah.
And if you look at E to G, count it zero. So one, two, three.
Three.
Yes. So you see, although they are alternate notes, now if I had to look at the white keys, it looks like I'm just skipping a note and playing a note, skipping a note and playing a note. But if I look at the internal structure of the chord, I realize that I'm actually this interval is actually bigger than this interval. Does it make sense?
Yes.
Yes. Now, if you had to,
Yeah. A lot of sense.
yeah. So now if you had to look at the same thing, say I'm taking it to the F chord, okay? You'll notice the same pattern. Okay, I'm going to start with F. So one, two, three, four, sorry, four. And I start from here. So one, two, three. Does it follow the same pattern?
Right.
Yes, it
It's
follows.
4 and 3.
Yes, it follows the same pattern, right? Let me take it to the G. You find the same pattern. Start here. This is 0,
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4.
2,
And from
3, 4.
yeah, 1, 3.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah. So as long as we have a 4 and
Yep.
3 kind of a pattern, we have a major chord. That's a pattern for a major chord. Okay. So let me quickly write here. Major is a 4 and a 3 pattern. Or these are the number of semitones that need to be there in order for this to turn into that chord. Now let's look at a minor chord. Let's take the A minor chord and let's see what happens. Okay. So this is 0. What happens? 1, 2, 3. So we didn't have four semitones this time. We had three semitones.
It's
And
the inverse.
yeah, it's exactly the other way around, right? So we start from the 0, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yes.
Yeah. So now what happens is I need to move the 4 to the other side. Sorry, wait one second. So this is 3 and this is 4, right? And this pattern
Yep.
gives me a minor chord. Now this is A minor chord. If I look at D minor, it's the same pattern.
Yes,
0,
it's the same.
0, 0, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have a 3-4 kind of a pattern here.
Yes.
Same thing will happen even from the E minor chord. So if you start from here, they have
E
0,
minor.
3, 1, 2, 3, 4. So what we understood from this is for us to get a
Yep.
minor chord, we need 3, 4. I created a video, but
Yes.
I use the language I say of 3 stacked on top of a 4, and sometimes students get confused with that. So I'm just using simpler language right now. So 4 and 3, 3 and 4. Okay, that's the order. Make sense? So far it made sense. Did you understand?
Yes, yes. It
Okay.
makes.
So I'm going to do one thing. I'm going to look at this pattern now, starting
Yes.
from the B note. What happens? Can you tell me what happens here?
Uh, the B major is a 3 and a 3.
Yeah, it's not a B major
But
anymore.
this is, sorry, this is not a B major.
Yeah.
Is
So
this a, yes.
yeah. So this time I'm going to
Is
have
it a diminished?
yes. So the chord formed from three, from the 7th degree of the scale. So C scale. If I've created a chord from the 7th degree of the scale, I get a B diminished chord, which is constructed with 3 and 3.
Okay. So something new for me. I'm just making a note of it.
Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm going to write DIM, and that's going to be 3 and 3. Now there is another triad that we haven't covered up in this. Okay, we covered up major, we covered up minor, we covered up diminished, and there's still one more triad. Can you guess what is the missing thing so far? We had 4 and 3, we have 3 and 4, we have 3 and 3. What will that be?
This
What combination is missing?
the sevens.
No. There's another combination that is missing. We just have 3 and 4. Okay, we have only
Okay.
two tools. We created a 4 and 3, we created a 3 and 4, we
Yep.
created 3 and 3. So it's called an
Do we
augmented.
have a 4 and 4 or augmented? Okay.
Yes, so 4 and 4,
Oh.
it,
Okay.
it does not exist in a C major
A
scale.
4 and 4.
Yeah, it does not exist in a C major scale naturally, but we can create a 4 and a 4. So basically, now if I do this chord, okay, so let me get rid of the 3. And if I were to raise this note by a semitone,
Okay.
that would be a C augmented chord. Okay. So, yeah, so it has a very surprise kind of a sound. Surprise.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Diminished has a spooky kind of a sound. Try playing a
I can
diminished,
just play.
uh, B diminished. Yeah, yeah. So that was your B diminished, right? Okay. Now, you understood this four triads: major, minor, diminished, and augmented.
Yes.
Okay, lovely. So
Yes.
let's move on to understanding. I just spoke to you about a diminished chord. I mean, sorry, a seventh chord just now. So I told you if we stack a G note down here, it becomes a dominant seventh chord, right? I mentioned about that, right?
Yes.
Okay. So now, anyway,
Yes.
this is a 4, right? Because 4 and 3 makes a major chord, right? So when I add a minor third interval, this is called a minor third interval.
Yes.
So that makes this chord very different. That's why it's called a dominant seventh.
Okay.
Okay. Whereas let's compare this. Let's compare this with a C. Okay, let me take this to C. Now what happens is this is no longer 3. This is no longer 3, but this is 4.
Yeah. So
Right?
4, 3, and 4. 4, 3, 4.
Yeah. So basically it's a major
Yep.
chord and there's a it's called a major third interval. Basically this is called a major third interval. I haven't spoken about those. When you see 3, it's called a minor third interval. So you see the structure is like this. So that's a major seventh. It's called E major seventh. This will be called a F major seventh. Okay.
F major 7.
That's a F major seventh. Same kind of structure, 4, 3, and 4. But the problem is not a problem. The when I do it from G, it is no longer 4, 3, 4, but it is 4, 3, 3, which creates a very different type of a sound. That's why it is
4, 3, 3.
uh, that's why the sound of when I play from G, we get a G seventh chord. That's what I explained to you, right? So let's look at this once again. So I told you
Yes.
C major chord, D minor chord, E minor chord. Now you're understanding why we call them minor. Okay, it's because of the first interval, which is smaller.
Yes.
Okay, a diminished is a chord is called so because it's made up of two minor third intervals. So it's pulling it inward. See, diminished means making small, right? And augmented means making big, bloating things up a bit. So
Yep.
and four. That's how we get an augmented chord. Okay, and playing the
Yes.
G chord along with the seventh note. Okay, adding that note to it will make it a G seventh chord basically. So it's only and this function is only possible with the 5 chord. And that this is what makes the 5 chord very special because
Okay.
it has a kind of a pull back to the 1. So if you look at basic songs, okay, some very basic songs, you'll find that they only use two chords, C and G. Nursery rhymes, Mary had a little lamb. They kind of bounce between 1 and 5.
Yes.
5 kind of pushes the chord back
Yes.
to 1. Okay, and you want that 5 to come more powerfully to C? Very simple, just play a G seventh. It creates more tension. Let me explain to you also why it creates tension. Uh, okay, before I explain why it creates tension, let me give you a few examples of songs. Think of Achy Breaky Heart, only two chords. C and G7. Jumble up,
Okay.
only two chords. Goodbye, Joe. Okay. I'll send you links in case you want. I've already created a whole PDF file based on this lesson in terms of understanding chord relationships.
Okay.
So if you look at nursery rhymes, I like to eat
Yes, that will.
apples and bananas, just C and this. God's love, only C and G, 1 and 5. Okay, now by the way, it's not C and G. That's again a wrong way of saying it. It is a 1 and a 5 chord relationship. 1, 5. Let's look at this. If I'm in the key of D, it will be a D and A relationship. If I'm in the key of E, it's going to be E and B.
Yes, sir.
Okay, if it's in the key of F, that's how it's going to be. And this relationship is going to be constant. So, like as a musician, like I understand this theory, but when I listen to chords, I only think in terms of like there. I only think in terms of 1 and 5. I think in terms of 1 and 5, irrespective of the key. So when I listen to a song, oh, that's a one moving to a four, or one moving to a five, or to a six. If you remember, this is what I was talking about when you had dropped in at the classroom uh, sometime back. I was telling you, understanding the natural number system. So this is what it is all about. Okay. Now let me also explain to you why.
Yes, you were talking to me about the number system.
Yeah, yeah. So now let me explain to you why when you play
Yep.
a seventh chord, like when you play a G seventh chord, why does it create a strong resolution to a C chord? Okay, why does this chord create a strong resolution?
Okay.
Okay, let me just play the C scale and tell me how you feel. Okay, just listen to this.
Okay.
How did you feel? I didn't play the last note.
I feel incomplete.
Yeah, you feel
Yeah,
incomplete.
I feel incomplete.
So you see, this note
Um,
wants to move.
something is missing. Like.
Yeah, it wants to resolve. So that's called a tension. It's a tension note. It wants to resolve there. Let's do it the other way around. Again, it feels incomplete, right? Okay, but not as strongly as this.
Yes.
Okay, and the reason why that happens is because of a half step that is here. That's a half step. There's just a semitone. Now you know what is a semitone.
Okay.
Okay, so the B
Yeah.
wants to move there.
Yes.
The D also wants to move there, but not as strongly as the B wanting to move to C. Okay. Similarly, again, there's a half step here if you look at it from F to the E note. So if I play some melody and I play,
Yes.
that note wants to come here. At least it wants to come here. It feels at home here. So this is
Yes.
called a tension note. This is called resolution note. It creates a tension that wants to move there. So what happens is there's a B note that wants to move to C. So let me move it to C. There's this D note which also wants to move to a C note, and this the F note which wants to move to the E note. Now, if I use these notes, let me just
E
tell
note.
you know what chord this is?
It's a C chord. C major.
Yeah, it's a C chord in the second inversion. What I mean by that is if I move this G up one octave here, there you got your C chord, right? So G seventh. Let me
Yes.
let me see whether I'm able to play the entire chord here, because sometimes it doesn't. Uh, one second.
Okay.
Okay, it's not letting. Then wants to resolve to this. Okay, I'm able to play the entire chord on this, but I can surely show it to you on my other camera. Just a minute. Just give me a moment. Um, why is this? Oh, I haven't connected. Okay, my bad. Uh, So I disconnected because of audio issues.
Okay.
I'm going to not not this one, not this one. Okay. So it's like, now, you might say that it is very common in church music that we use a lot of dominant seventh chords. It's also very common in jazz
Your,
music,
your voice is very soft,
pop
Brian.
music. In fact, blues is all built on seventh chords. It's also used in popular songs, like you'll find, um, especially the old songs, classic songs, they use a lot of sevenths. Now, what is important is understanding the sound of seventh. That is more important. Understanding how the seventh sounds like. But anyway, that's just part of theory.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's get back to this screen.
Your volume's gone very soft. Your volume's gone very soft.
You know what? I'm gonna just disconnect
I'm not able to hear you. I'm able to hear you soft.
this. Okay. Can you hear
I
me
can
loud
hear
and
you
clear,
now.
right? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you. I can hear you. I can hear you.
Were you able to hear me?
Yeah, I was able to hear you, but we were very soft in that. When you shifted over to the keyboard,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
could hear the playing, but what you spoke, I couldn't hear you.
Okay, okay. That's what I've had connected through my sound card and I forgot to rewire it. Anyway, can hear me now, right?
Acha.
Yeah, you can hear me
No,
now.
no, no problem.
Yeah, yeah. In fact,
Yes, I can hear you.
you'll be able to hear me now even if I have to show you my keyboard. I don't think you'll have a problem. Okay. So you understood the concept. So now, basically, this applies to other scales as well. So now,
Yes.
is you're not only going to learn how to play the scale. So that's a D major scale for you, but you will also learn all the chords that belong to the scale. So it's a lot of hard work. Okay. So every scale that you learn, let me kind of give you a roadmap. So we have 12, 12 keys, right? So we have 12 notes. So altogether, there
Okay.
are 12 scales.
Yes. Okay.
You have to learn 12 scales. Right now, you've learned only the white key scales. You've not yet learned the black key scales. So altogether, there are 12 scales. And for
Yes.
every scale, there's a family of chords that you need to learn. And this is not an assignment for next week. Huh? This is not an assignment for next week. This is your macro goal, if you understand what I mean.
Okay.
This is your macro goal.
Okay.
We're going to move
All
to it.
right. Yes.
So we're going to move to it in with micro goals. We'll have some micro steps that will take us to this. I mean, I always like to give you the helicopter view. I like to show you the entire city from the helicopter, from the drone, whatever you want to call it. And then I like to zoom in. Okay, this is what we're doing, and then this is what we're doing. Okay, so I think this should be sufficient for today, and we will start
Okay.
digging into each scale more deeply, okay, and more passionately. So let's start with just learning those scales. Just take a little more interest, learn your scales.
Okay.
uh, you know you should be able to play scales without looking. Your eyes
Yes.
should stop looking at the keys, and you should be able to, even without thinking, your fingers should be able to move across the notes of the scale. That's very important. Okay, and as I said, what you can do is
Okay.
you can shoot a quick video of yourself playing all the scales, since it's going to take a little more time. If it's a short video, less than 5 minutes, then you can try sending it to me over WhatsApp. Otherwise, you upload it on YouTube and send it to me as a private.
Okay.
And I will put in
Okay.
timestamps and whatever corrections, anything that needs to be mentioned, I'll put in through the timestamps. All right. Yeah. So we'll
Okay.
wrap up with this for today, and I'll see
All
you
right.
next week. Yeah.
Okay. Brian, just one question I had. What is my, when do I pay you the fees for?
Okay, regarding payment of fees, this is how we track it. So what I do is, um, now you already paid your admission and everything. So it's only for the four classes that you pay. Okay, four blocks of time.
Right.
Okay, and if you miss a lesson and if it's a genuine reason, you are exempted from you don't have to pay for that block of time as long as you inform us well in advance. But sometimes students are a little tardy. They don't inform. They take things for granted. In that case, we just
Okay.
we penalize them for the class. They forfeit that class. So once you complete your four classes, okay, sometimes it might be a missed lesson, but we might
Okay.
count it as a fourth class. Okay, so once that you've completed your lesson, then you're eligible to pay
Okay.
for the next four classes that you'll be taking. I'll be sending you the details. So as of now, you have just completed two classes. Okay. So once you're done with your classes, then I'll let you know about the fees. I'll inform you about it.
Okay.